Hey everybody, welcome back to Fire Pit TCGs. I'm Hellfire, and this is round 4 of the WiXoss Grand Prix hosted in Florida at Osceola Heritage Park. I am joined by one of the players in here. I'm joined by Altiers. Altiers? Oh god, I can't English.
All tiers is usually what I go by.
Alright. English is not my language today. But anyways, so before we get started, how was your GP run?
Honestly, I felt pretty good about it overall. I ran into a lot of Anj, which is sort of what I expected going in. Unfortunately, dropped a game to Starfruit on that. Still, even with being practiced for it. But regardless, I saw the decks I kind of practiced against. I felt pretty good about my play in every game except for this game, so that'll be fun to rewatch here.
Oh no.
And I'm very happy that I ended up breaking into top 8. Ended up with top remember as well, and was really happy about the game in top 8, even though I ended up losing to Pigeon there too.
Oh, that was one hell of a game, but that's not what we're here for.
Man, I wish that one was recorded, because you're right, that is one hell of a game for sure.
Side tangent on that. Imagine being like, oh man, my opponent doesn't have a servant. I just need to hit 2 and I win. And then they hit on a Mirage into Haniel into servant off the top deck and you lose.
And there was so much
what happened.
So much I had set up just to hopefully play around whatever the burst ended up being, because, well, I'd have to explain the whole board setup, but there was a lot of thought into that last turn, and that was not the one way I expected it to play out, but I can't be mad about that. It was a great game.
Oh, no, 100%. Both players here ended up making it into the top 8. Anyways, as you said, you are on Remember for this round, and your opponent's our top Milulun player for the event. This is first round on camera for him, second one for you.
Yep, that is correct.
Altiers was in round 2 playing against a Japanese Hirana player. Seems like Milulun going first here, intercharging Pure Luke Apex. So what were your thoughts going into this one, with finally probably seeing a deck that's not using, or that isn't using white for probably once in the tournament at this point?
So it's really funny here because Brian and I are actually locals together. So both of us know each other's decks really, really well.
Oh.
We play at Stevenson in Maryland and also at multiple different shops in Virginia, Curio and Gaming Giant, and we usually play against each other for a lot of the ceremonies, and he was part of our home crew coming in, so this was our first really big friendly fire match at the Grand Prix, unfortunately. But staring across from this deck, usually a lot of the other main stuff that I play against, the white decks and things like that, I don't have too many problems with. Remember can handle that stuff pretty well. But this deck actually gives me a lot of problems. And the main reason is seeing, Remember can struggle against a lot of that red aggression since I'm running 2 1-stops as my assist Elrigs. So if he rushes me too fast, I can eat a whole lot of damage and, can't really close out the game with good defense. But because I have to kill a lot of his stuff with black removal, blue removal, and give him a whole lot of enter, I can never really put good pressure on his hand because he always has access to troubles to refill it.
Right.
So being aggressive on his board back trying to strip his hand, trying to strip his options, never really works. He never runs out of cards, and then he can keep the aggression up on me really well, and it's pretty difficult for me to handle.
That probably didn't feel good, having to discard 3 on that bottom end swing.
No.
I kind of winced when that happened. It's like, dang. Early Madoka bursts always suck.
Yeah, and the reason I ended up paying for it here is because, similarly, I know that he is on 2 1-stops, and I know that I gotta get some early damage in as well. So I decided to go with the discard just to get the early pressure in, hoping I could carry that momentum through.
Right. So we know his turn's probably like your standard, clear 2, open 3, swing 4, hope it sticks. Yay, I love red. I love when decks play red. It's really easy. Woo! Oh, wait, hold on. There's Wing Slash getting that Madoka. I do know that the Madoka is a advantage engine for this deck, fueling fueling his resources off of discarding you. There, yep, there's a Lancelot for your Lepus.
Yep, exactly. And like you said, the Modica Advantage Engine's really fierce too, because I can't even try and change up my game plan to deny him enter or something like that, because if I'm not pressuring his hand, then he just converts the hand to extra enter, which he can then use against me to, you know, open up my board repeatedly.
Hey, don't bounce Lancelot here, please.
Oh, well, here is going to be my first misplay, because that is going to be exactly what I do.
Oh,
so here's my thought process on returning it. I'm going to think about it here for a bit before I do. Next turn, I'm also trying to figure out how I'm going to be opening 3. And I don't remember exactly what was in my hand, but I did not really have a good way to get over the 5k. So, again, trying to keep up with my plan of being aggressive as fast as possible. I opted to return the Lancelot to hand so I could try and open 3 and pressure him next turn. Now that ends up biting me in the ass afterwards. But
yeah, because now he gets to reopen a hole.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
It was a gamble I was willing to take at the time, but in retrospect, it was not a good gamble.
Boy, I planned this out, but also, boy, am I bad at math.
That is exactly how I'm feeling looking back over it.
It was back to you here. From the glimpse I got in your hand, you don't have a lot of options to open anything.
I do not. And again, that's sort of why I opted to return to Lancelot, hoping that I could find something here to sort of fish out, but I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember my early game here was kind of weak this turn.
Alright, it's Payout Sela, which works out great for the Super Lusta Saber if you need it later. Not that I think Sela really does anything in this matchup.
No, not that I can really think of.
Hey, look, a random drain.
And this was me digging.
Looks like you drew a servant there. Keyword looks. No, that's an Exia. He discards a Lancelot. He must have a second copy in his hand. Hey, Ush.
Yeah, and here, I forget if I was digging for the servant or not, but that would make sense, because like I said, that... Oh, I did see a servant there.
Yeah, the third card in that 5 is your servant, so I would believe it if you're digging for the servant. Which, yeah, you did grab the servant in whatever the 5th card was there.
Okay, yeah, usually
Thought about
I wouldn't want to use Ultra Superheroes this fast here, but... because I needed the servant in hand, because I am expecting him to open 3 and continue pushing that for that fast aggression, I opted to use it to dig for it.
Right. No, that makes sense. If your opponent's playing aggressive, having early servants is beneficial because you die less faster.
Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, I know that Brian's on Innocent Battle here, so the Ultra Superheroes mill is not really going to do much for me, because he is always going to be able to refresh before I can finish him off.
Right. Is the downside of Innocent Battle, it's just like, oh, cool, I'm not dying to refresh. Your opponent can just dodge the whole refresh point thing.
Right. Now, usually in the past, I would be able to sort of hassle him pretty well with the mill, because I would be on the Earth assist line, so I could try and mill him out all in one go. But I opted not to use that for this tournament, knowing that I'd probably face a lot of Anj, and they'd just be able to refresh my deck entirely in one go, which would sort of render my Earth useless, because, you know, minus a whole, like, 5k or something if I do the self-mill. Right. So that's why I ended up being on Machina, but that does pretty much mean there is no way I can mill him out in this matchup.
Even then, Niji Sanji also has the double refresh deck, which makes Innocent Battle kind of a moot point anyways. Because if they set it up early enough, Urith is mill 8 total, Mito is a mill 10, Ush is, or Ultra Super, or not Ultra, the Moon Knight's the full mill. More often than not, he's probably going to be at the 18 card threshold for the full mill by the time the Mito player hits level 3, so Mito players can get that double refresh if he's not paying attention. But you did... Hey, look! That looks like a way to clear a... That looked like a way to clear a Lancelot on your field. I do.
Now, I I opted not to discard with the Monomine here, knowing that I didn't want to really spend too many resources pressuring his hand, because he would just redraw with trouble. I'm not really sure if that was a good call or not, because by not pressuring his hand, that just sort of frees him up to do whatever.
Yeah.
But that was sort of the option I ended up going with, for this match at least.
Yeah, so he hits a trouble burst, has the Servant. So, 2 life cloth, like, that's a lot against, that doesn't seem like a lot, but that is a lot here. At least knowing what a lot of his burst lines are.
I did manage to sort of achieve my goal here of getting a bunch of damage in before he hit 3. But unfortunately, from here, I sort of struggle finishing him off, which is, well, I guess that's jumping ahead a bit, but...
Right.
So this is just me refreshing myself on abilities again, even though I've played against this deck multiple times.
Yep, your random drains now cost 2. All the extra dead spells in his hand are free vanishes. It's great. I do wish he did run Aloe. I understand why he didn't. I believe I touched up on this in his... Like, I recorded... I'm not gonna lie, I recorded this after I recorded his round against... or after his round 5, so I know a little bit more on this deck. But I do believe I touched up asking on his choice to not use Alos Purluke here, because it's basically a free... It's a free minus 2k with Miluns once per turn, since you have to discard a spell and a Signy.
Yeah, I really do like the Alos engine a lot, but the longer I've seen Brian run this list, the more I can understand why he hasn't as well, and this list works perfect for exactly the playstyle that he was going for.
Yeah, it's a lot less resources to do what Lancelot does, basically. Or what he does with Lancelot. Hey, look! Innocent battle! Who saw this coming? Not me!
Yep, for sure. And I think this is me asking for a burst count here. And I think a servant count as well, just to see what he was going in with.
He's refreshing 3 servants back in, so there's 1 known that's out. And it looks like he's got like 8-ish cards, 8 to 10 cards left in deck before he does this.
The reason he's using the Innocent Battle here is because after having played this matchup with him decent bit, one of the really important timing things is that he needs to use Miluns once per game before I get to 3 and I turn his abilities off for a turn. Because he needs that to, give him a whole bunch of extra cards or pressure so he can hold out for the turn that I do blank him and hopefully coast from there. So he uses Innocent Battle to refresh the spells into his deck before he ends up using her once per game, just so he has the most chances to hit troubles and his other good spells here.
Right. Now, probably the super beneficial part about this is, since he has 2, you don't have to worry. At least don't have to worry if he hits like double blazing monochrome right now, which can be funny.
Yeah, that would actually be very funny.
He has a 4th servant in his hand. Speaking of blazing monochrome, he uses 1 there, so at least he's out 1 of his 2. I think he refreshed back in another, so it's different. 3, a 4. What is he doing? Oh,
this is the once per game
hey,
here.
Look, there's another blazing monochrome. Holy, is that all spells? Oops, all spells.
There is a lot. He has a lot of
there's
options.
Like 3 random drains, a blazing monochrome in there. Oh my lord, Bruno. There's 4 random drains in there, 3 troubles, and a blazing monochrome. I love
having all the options in the world.
Oh my lord, 8 spells off of the top deck. So he's running 10 spells in this deck, so he basically saw every single spell that got refreshed there.
Pretty worthwhile Innocent Battle.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, so free draw 6. His hand is going to be absolutely fat.
Yeah, and at this point, I pretty much have to give up on pressuring his hand for a lot of the rest of the game, unless I catch him low on cards at some point.
Yeah, he drew into a trouble and a random drain there, so he's definitely not bleeding for... He's not going to be bleeding for cards at this point.
And by drawing all these cards and having the enter that he does, He's going to be able to convert a lot of those cards into extra enter for himself to fuel himself for the rest of the game. Also gives him a lot of extra cards in hand. So when he runs his Hanyo Pomegranate, he has the option to discard cards for additional removal. It's just a very bad situation overall.
Right. It's you're here. You're not here for a good time at this point.
Yep.
So there's Random Drain.
In addition, with a lot of the resources he does get, he has the ability to hassle my hand very well. It's and since I do not obviously have the troubles, I can't rebuild the same amount of cards as quickly as he can, and I end up struggling a lot with hand in this matchup.
Right. The most you can really do is draw an extra card each turn off of Remembers.
Right. And since I had to blow my Ultra Superheroes early to dig for the guard, I don't even have that to sort of refill my hand.
Right. I mean, you still do have a Super Hallusta Saber, but that's going to be like an oh shit button in this case.
Yep, exactly. I ended up discarding the Exia here. The reason being, I believe I had 2 more Exias in hand. Exia is actually a very valuable card in this matchup, since he uses so much spot removal, and also his Milulun's once per turn ability. I can hopefully block a lot of lanes with Exia if I can set them up.
Right.
But
the problem at this point is now setting it up.
Exactly. When he has 2 assists that can snipe Exias off the board very quickly.
Yeah, because unlike Sash that can just pick something to get saved by the assists, both Hanyo and Machina Smash can just not care about what you put on your field because they're now 13Ks. Whereas at least Sash has the benefit of being able to turn off, or being able to protect at least one lane consistently.
So here he had trashed the Lancelot to swap in the Monomine, so he could take advantage of the extra cards in his hand with the Monica. Discard for Monomine, make me discard some hand pressure, and then that will also give him another proc with his Monica, so he could build some more enter as well.
Right. Looks like he's just going to trouble. Why not? Hey, look, he drew another servant. That's crazy.
He's already drawn 9 cards this turn. Might as well draw an additional 3 on top of it.
Oh, he's drawing 10. Remember the Random Drain.
Oh, I forgot about the Random Drain, too. Alright, so here we are going into the Monomane, pressuring the other card in my hand.
Basically turns, I think, because he has a hand size of 8 right now, he can turn that, he basically gets a free enter out of it, so it's, God, that's so
very
good.
worthwhile.
That is so good.
So I believe my hand at this point is a Miu Memoria and 2 Exias, and I think I opt to discard the Miu. Just because, like I mentioned, the Exias are extremely valuable here.
Right. I feel like I would have kept... I feel like in my case, I probably would have kept a Mew because it's a hole.
Yeah, and I think that was the right call.
You play the... you play the Mew, pay the 1 to just keep a little bit of your hand size left, put it in front of one of the level 1s, only open 1 on that turn. And he has to decide whether he wants to take the damage or deal with the Exia.
Yeah, and I think that probably would have been the better way to handle it.
Right.
And I do believe I was wrong. I have an Exia and a Servant in my hand right now, I think is what I caught. So I opted to discard the Miu instead of the Exia, but I think I agree that I needed to put pressure on the board going into my next turn.
Right. Yeah, so you do salvage Exia here, so it probably gets you your second Exia, which makes a lot more sense at this point.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I believe so. I think I was also considering the Koala here, just to rebuild hand a bit with her on-play Dig 3 for 1 extra card.
Yeah.
But I do believe I end up settling on the Exia. Yep, looks like it.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Hey, look, Servant. Now you have 2 Exius in your hand.
Yep. But now with the hand pressure that Brian's already put on me here, it's going to be very hard to keep enough cards in my hand to stave off the discard and continue guarding every turn. So I'm in a pretty rough spot. We're both at level 3 with 2 life cloth each.
Right, so you go your Remember turn here. Your once per game isn't really looking that good, unfortunately.
Yep, agreed.
I mean, you don't really use spells to begin with. Yeah, you've got 2 copies of Random Drain in your deck, but the turning off the ability to just make spells cost 1 less doesn't really do anything out that. I mean, you can once per game to set up a state where he can only clear. He has to burn assists to clear holes at that point,
right?
Because it does turn off his action. But I don't know. Like her once per game just feels like super bad in this scenario.
If I can't stop him from using her once per game, then it's not super valuable to me, especially because he's not on white, so it's not like I'm even trying to turn off Exia abilities or anything like that.
Yeah. There isn't really much that you want to turn off here, actually, because even if you went first in this scenario, like, he still gets his once per game going into his next turn, because Remember does not only blinks what's on the field, and Milulun 2 does not have abilities, so it doesn't blink Milulun 3 when she comes in.
Right.
So, I'm assuming at this point you're thinking about Super Celestia Saber?
Yeah, I think that's what's going through my head, with the thought process being, I believe I got a guard, or a servant off the top check 3 with Remember, if I saw right. And I think I'm considering if I want to Super Celestia Saber here just to pack my hand so he can't discard me out of a servant next turn. Because if I board 3 things here, my hand is pretty much very easily destroyable going into next turn, and with sitting at only 2 life cloth, I can't really afford to eat too many Elrig attacks here.
Yeah.
Also, with running Modica Dub as my other assist, knowing that he'll probably be able to open a lot of holes next turn as well, I'm sort of fearful of just, outright dying next turn.
Yeah. I think I do agree that the Super Celestia Saber play here is indeed correct, but I don't know what happens at this point. But if I were in your scenario, I'd probably just field the Exias in front of the 2 things the 2 Exias in your hand in front of the 2 things that are on his field, and then just put a shitter in the center slot.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is the correct call in retrospect, but you're about to see
that means you did not do it. Understood.
So I'll explain this before I get to the actions myself, because that is not what I'm going to do. The reason is, it's sort of a misread on my part, a knowledge check on my part. I remember he has Hanyo, and I know Hanyo can kill 1 of my Exias. I remember Hanyo, I think Hanyo Pomegranate is the name of the assist. Yeah. I know it has a discard 3 to kill another.
It's a discard 4.
Oh, it's discard 4.
Yep.
See, knowledge check. I remember it has a discard ability to vanish something else on my board, but I couldn't remember if it had additional conditions. So knowing that he has a packed hand right now, I was really worried about him if I played 2 Exias, he would just snipe both Exias, and then I'd essentially be stuck for next turn without a way to defend myself.
Well, if he snipes both Exias, you still live with a servant in hand.
True, correct.
Yeah, because you still do have your dub at this point.
Yeah, and I think this is where I'm agreeing with you, that I really should have just boarded the Exias and forced the assists out, because what's going to happen here is that I'm not really threatening enough to make him want to pop both of his assists on me, which leaves me in a really bad situation for next turn, because then he can just do it then.
Yeah. Because if you did feel 2 Exias here, you could get a full 3 stop if he doesn't take care of any of them.
Yeah, that definitely would have been the stronger play.
Interesting in not killing his value engine too.
Yeah, I was worried about the hand discard. I think I had sort of given up at avoiding the value engine here, just because I know both of his assists are extremely cheap.
Right.
So I can't really deny him off of that. I opted for the Quayle here, not because I'm expecting to negate anything, but because it would get me the extra card, because we had equal life cloth at this point. So I was hoping to pack my hand in a way that he would not be able to discard me out next turn.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, like hindsight 2020 things are always real feels bad. Actually, you double Exia would have been so much better for you here. Actually, thinking about it,
significantly.
Because just trying to guesstimate what your deck size is, you lose a cloth to Ush next turn, don't you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. It's just, I'm just in a bad situation overall.
Yeah.
Coming into level 3 with only 2 life cloth is not where I want to be in this matchup, but that's just kind of the way it panned out.
Yeah,
and hitting a burst there is also very bad.
Yeah. Buckler would have... Yeah, Buckler burst would have killed one of the Exias. It had you double field Exia there, but then you still have one left over at that point.
And he might have honestly opted to kill one.
Yeah, unless he decided to just like eat the damage, take one anyways, and then he could have got rid of both Exias.
Yeah, and judging by the fact that he opted to not use either assist here, I'm kind of... I feel like he probably would have just chosen to eat the damage, because obviously he's not worried going into the next turn with... He would have not been worried going into the next turn with 0 life and having both assists up. Me not threatening 3 on this turn means I probably should have defended up instead of just trying to push 2, which is usually not a good call in general, and I'm really not sure why I did it that way.
Right. No, that's fair. Like we said, a lot of this is like hindsight. Oh, I could have made this play again. It probably would have made the gameplay different. Honestly, I feel like Exia is fantastic for baiting out assists.
Agreed. Very much so. Yeah,
So,
in general, I try and push 1 damage or 3 damage, and I really don't like pushing in the middle. But I think because I saw the aggression game going here, where both of us are very close to death, and can die essentially in 1 turn, I thought that I still had to try and gamble
you have
on
2 cards left in deck after this Ush. Fancy.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Totally planned.
Oh yeah, Ultra Superheroes does vanish here. I forget the red node sometimes, because the only time I've ever really like paid attention to the red node for Ultra Superheroes is in JP Diva with Denonbu. So it's kinda, yeah, he doesn't even need a burn assist to open holes.
Yeah, it's just it's just rough. Yeah, I always forget about the red ability on Ultra Superheroes 2, and I was waiting for him to top check 5 and take before I started milling, before he reminded me that he got to vanish something.
Yeah, he ain't got white on his field, so...
Yep. One of the few.
Superheroes does not add 2, and what's the point when all of his spells and everything else do, so...
Right, he's got no trouble with hand right now.
Pun intended. Yeah, Sela doesn't really do anything here either, actually, thinking about it, because Sela
legitimately nothing.
Like, what's Sela gonna do? Turn off the on-play abilities of anything he's about to drop? Like...
Right. Like, the only thing that he might have been running that it would have worked on would be, like, a 0-2, and if he mistimed his triggers and attack with something else first, but he's not even on 0-2. I can't think of anything else in the deck that would have been effective against.
You know what's absolutely hilarious? You can protect your Sela. You can actually protect your Sela because he put the Typhon there.
That's funny.
Because when you attack with, if he attacks with anything, you blank the Typhon, and yes, it's still awakened, but now it's an 8k because it no longer gets the +7 while it's awakened.
I always forget that her ability is tied to the constant of being awakened and not a straight power boost.
Yeah, that's actually really funny here. And not putting the Bruno in the center lane, I feel like is like a super big misplay. But he probably wanted to kill. He probably wanted to try and kill the Scylla without, or like attempt to kill the Scylla and forgetting that Scylla, you know, blanks abilities.
It's actually really interesting. I can't remember how that plays out, and I wonder if we misplayed that. I guess we'll find out in a couple seconds here.
So definitely would be definitely a misplay on your part, but at that point the legal options are you picked something else for the Scylla attack if Scylla does get vanished here.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. I already knew I was in a pretty tough spot here, so...
Probably down either with dub. It's about the best you can do here.
Now the thing is, I'm about to deck out. So if I do dub, I'm going to lose the life plot anyway.
So opting to take the 2 here might not be a bad play either.
And I think I'm trying to consider if I want to gamble on the life burst or not based on the counts that I have available to me. And I can't remember what the counts were, but apparently they were good enough for me to consider gambling. At least think about it.
Right. Well, you have 2 Exias in a servant and 2 servants in hand. You have a Scylla on board. I don't know what the card under your Mew Memoria is. It looks like a...
I think it's an Oigona.
Yeah, that is Oigona. So, like, at least from the knowledge that I have there, you're out 5, and I see that Scylla up front, so you're out at least 6 bursts, which is about normal at this point in the game. Or, like, that number, like, just visible instantly is, like, normal at this point in the game. But I don't know if... Yeah, you're fanning through that too fast for me to, like, do a fast count in my hand. Slow down, Jesus Christ, man. We got 40 minutes.
It's alright, I'm sure I'll look at it another 10 times before I decide to make a decision here.
Yeah. I think taking the 2 is correct to a degree, because you're going to lose one to deck out anyways. And you have 3 cards in deck, so if you do dub here, you're still going to lose a cloth here. So I wonder, actually... that's fancy. I wonder if, like, stopping 1 off of the dub, drawing 2, just not opting to use Remember 1 for gaming,
not
keep
using
that
the
1
turn.
cloth out, because he has no way to deck you out now.
Right.
Because nothing in his deck mills you in any way, shape, or form. So it's honestly...
I don't believe he was on Polaris, right?
Yeah, he's not on Polaris. So honestly, I think...
Oh, wait,
No,
Modem.
Yep.
Oh, yep,
hey!
See, he misplayed that.
Yeah, you could have protected that Scylla. You so could have protected that Scylla. Actually, it probably would have.
That's funny.
It so would have mattered, in my opinion, because now that's 1 less hole you have to refill. But he still has both of his assists up, and, like, I don't want to declare the game early.
You should.
But I'm going to. Like, it doesn't matter what you do here.
No, I realized that at the time. When it panned out the way it did, I realized that, you know, even if I double board Exia or something, he just kills both Exias and I die.
Yeah, he pops both assists, and now you have 2 open holes, and Madoka only stops 1. Now,
correct.
Granted, this check here is knowing that we know what your assists are already. He might be thinking you might be on clap for some reason, which...
So, it's funny you mentioned that, because much like I got knowledge checked by Hanao Pomegranate despite playing against it multiple times, he also got knowledge checked by Madoka Dub despite playing against it multiple times, and he does think I'm on Madoka Clap at the moment.
Yeah.
At this point, I've already realized I'm dead, and there's nothing I can do. But this game does still go for a little bit here, just because he misreads what my assist is next turn.
Yay!
Yeah. Unfortunately, like you said, it is sort of a declared game at this point.
Yeah.
Unless Brian really misplayed into the next turn, there's really not a lot I can do to keep myself alive here. But I got to keep a straight face and bank on the misplay.
Yeah, no, like at that point you have to. Like there's
Yeah.
no doubt about it.
Opting for the remember once per turn here to take the last card in my deck, which was a Falulu.
Yeah, I mean, no reason not to. You're
right. I'm already out the life at that point.
Yeah. God, it's it's hard to think of any possibilities where like you could pull this out of your ass, in lack of better terms, because I'm just like, I mean, both of his assists kill his Exias. He's got you. Outside of Anna Mirage, you have nothing. Well, you have Typhon. I guess one of the only outs you have is Anna Mirage, Typhon, into a dead lane elsewhere.
Yeah, like I think the math I'm going through my head at this point, if I remember right, is I know I'm dead next turn. So how do I open 3 this turn? Because the only path to victory is threatening 3. And that he doesn't have I'd have to threaten 3. He stops 2. I hit him for 1 life cloth, then he doesn't have a guard in hand, which after playing 10 troubles is not very likely.
Actually, wait. I think I know this line. Hold on. So if you were able to have Anna Mirage and Typhon in your hand, you feel the Typhon in front of the Typhon, obviously. Anna Mirage in front of the Bruno, Shitter in front of the. Actually, no. You field Anna Mirage in front of the Haket, Typhon in front of the Typhon, something that can kill the Bruno or not kill the Bruno in that slot, open up the Haket slot off of the Anna Mirage. Since Anna Mirage is there, he can't get rid of it at all.
Correct.
So
and
there's
this was
the
again
last
a knowledge check.
Yeah, that would be like the last damage in this case. Like this is again knowing like theoretical play, knowing what both of your guys' remaining assists are. So in that case, in your scenario, he can't clear that lane. He can only clear what's in front of the Bruno. And you can stop that, and I believe you still have a Servant in your hand. Unless he rips through your entire hand, there's no point that you would potentially die there. And then now becomes the problem of doing that exact same scenario to where his other assist can't kill your open lane. So you have to go basically 2 turns without being able to get cleared from either of his assists.
Right.
In your 1 damage lane, which is a tall order to ask, I get that.
I did realize he had, he's on Machina Smash, the 12k attack line there is pretty obvious. But again, I got really knowledge checked by not knowing the exact text on Hanyo Pomegranate, not realizing that she also checks for 12k. I thought that it was just a general kill anything, and then again, like I mentioned, I did not remember on her discard effect what she was able to clear with that too. So fielding the 13ks would have actually allowed me, or 13k or Typhon would have allowed me to push damage through here, but I just was not sure of the exact text of Hanyo Pomegranate, and it really bit me here.
Right, so no holes. He probably has that Servant in hand. So at this point, if he thinks you're on dub, if he could have just opened 3 here and not cared. That's so funny.
Yep, he absolutely could have.
Oh man, this is.
And that's what he was worried about. And I thought, so that's what the line I thought he was going to make. Clear my board with his assists, play 3 Signy, or not even need to play any Signy, and then just kill me. But he had the misread that I was on clap as well, because at this point, I have enough cards in hand that I can pay for the full 5 on clap, and also discard 2 and stop 3, and still have a guard left over. So he thinks that's the line that I was going to be going for here. But obviously, again, both of us at this point have the privilege of knowing of what the assists are, so that wasn't the case. But that sort of ends up making this game go an extra turn longer than it was.
Yeah. Yeah, the only way to extend the game even farther to potentially in your favor was that exact line that I was telling you about. Honestly. Like, I can't think of any other line where that isn't the
No, that was definitely the
possibility.
answer. So at this point, he expects to not be able to kill me this turn. So he's playing a very defensive field, as defensive as possible, which is why he ends up going for the double Typhon with Exceed. Knowing that I'm going to have a pretty hard time killing these, whatchamacallit, these 15Ks.
Yep. You're still gonna dub. You're still gonna dub him anyways. Hey, look at that! Wow.
So what happened there was I dubbed before I think he discarded me for Monomine, and jumped the gun a little bit, asked him if he had any other abilities, and then quick played it.
Yeah, because at this point you guys are getting close to the 40-minute timer.
Yeah,
so,
we were. It was going long. Knowing the board state, I was just gonna give him the game either way, because there's no way I was gonna be able to kill him if we did hit time.
Right.
But yeah, this next turn should probably be pretty quick.
Yep.
Decides to clear my board, so I'm forced to field an entire field next turn.
Are all 4 Exias in your enter zone?
There's a.
I see
possibly.
3.
There's at least 3.
That's actually wild if it is. Yeah, remember once per turn. Milulun play. The only thing you can kill is Monomine. No. I mean, yeah, actually, you can kill the Typhons with Mew Memoria. Mew Memoria isn't a power check.
Yep, exactly.
Shove 2 under there, clear Typhon.
I think I paid out Oigona. I think I took Oigona, put
Yeah.
2 level 1s under there just to be able to threaten the lane.
Yep. Deuce can clear the Monomine. Man, that would be absolutely crazy if you're able to open 3 here, because you would just have to burn everything to kill your board.
Right.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did not have another level 3 here, so the minus 8k on the Haneo Pomegranate is actually extremely relevant here, because you can kill my Deus with it and still block 2.
Yep. Yep, there's Palm. See ya, Mew. He has 3 cards in hand, so he couldn't clear the Deuce
so he couldn't discard it anyway.
Yeah, he couldn't have discarded out. Oh, no. Yeah. Yep. That's a GG. Oh,
that is a GG.
Man.
Yeah, a series of unfortunate events on my part. In retrospect, very badly played, but, you know, Brian and I have a pretty good record against each other. It's funny that we both misread each other's assists despite playing against them multiple times. But
Right.
overall, I think it was still a good game. Brian played extremely well. And did put the pressure on me where he needed to, and got the win.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, it still felt like relatively close because you guys kept like misreading on each other's assists, but no,
the early aggression on both parts really set the pace of the game. You know, both of us entering level 3 at 2 life cloth each really made it so those last couple turns were really like real big nail biters. Had to play really tight to make sure we didn't die instantly.
Right.
But yeah, very interesting game overall.
No, like, yeah, obviously we can sit and nitpick what should have been done, and well, again, hindsight 2020.
Yep,
hindsight. We'll beat this dead horse of everything is hindsight. So that'll be it for this round. Thank you for joining me, all tiers.
Of course, no problem.
Sorry I had to make you relive through a loss on your end, but
hey, that is all right.
It didn't matter in the end. You made it to top 8, anyways.
Still made it, just to lose in the most dramatic fashion possible. But hey, you know, that's my first top 8 at GP. Didn't make it last time, so I am very happy with my performance outside of this one game.
As you should be. It's always an amazing feat to make top 8. Again, thank you for joining, and to my viewers, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next round.